This is the Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, on Alternative Talk, AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage and finance expert, Tina Mitchell.
Welcome back to the Money Hour with your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, right here on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, July 6th show. Every week I share expert advice and inside knowledge on how today's events in our local economy can affect your money. And if you're listening to my show at a different time or day, you're listening to a rebroadcast, you can always call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com to discuss anything regarding money or anything that we've talked about in today's show. And in studio right now, Geoff Patrick, Media Relations and Public Information Manager at Sound Transit. Very excited to talk with you, Geoff, especially after listening to Judy. I think it's a great lineup that we have.
Thanks for having me here.
And background of Geoff Patrick, again, is Media Relations and Public Information Manager at Sound Transit, which serves the more than 40% of Washington's residents who live in the central Puget Sound region. Sound Transit expresses buses, commuter trains, and expanding light rail systems and playing an incredibly crucial role in the region's transportation network. By 2023, Sound Transit is on target to deliver 34 miles of light rail expansions to form a 50-mile system that will significantly expand the capacity of some of the region's most congested transportation corridors. And with the region's population projected to rise 30% by 2040, Patrick is responsible for promoting the public's involvement in shaping where the future ballot measures should further expand transit after current projects are completed in 2023. Again, a lot of responsibility, Geoff, that you guys have over there at Sound Transit. And I just want to open it up with, what is Sound Transit anyway?
Well, we are here thanks to the Washington State Legislature, so it's a particular honor to be here today with Chair Cliburn. Although I don't think you were a part of the legislature back at that point in the early 1990s when folks were really looking at all the congestion that has been building in our region and has continued to build since then, and looking at the comparable regions around the country and the world and saying, well, why don't we have a mass transit system that includes rail transit here? And so the legislature set the stage for that to occur. And in 1996, the voters of our region formed Sound Transit with a mandate to build light rail, commuter rail, and express buses. And that's what we're doing today. We've got a 18-member board that's formed from elected officials, county council, city council members from around the region, plus the state secretary of transportation. And we've got more than 100,000 riders today, and that's going to keep climbing as we deliver all these expansions you mentioned over the next 10 years.
So, Geoff, what are the expansions in Sound Transit pipeline? Can you talk about those?
Yeah, we've got a great system operating today, but in 2008, the voters of the region said we want a lot more, and so they sent us off with a mission to deliver light rail expansions to the north, south, and east. And so today we've got projects in the development that'll extend light rail from Seattle, where we currently have service between Seattle and the airport, across Lake Washington to Chair Cliburn's home community in Mercer Island, and on to Bellevue and the Redmond area. In the north from downtown Seattle, we're already before that ballot measure had already set in motion the University Link light rail expansion to Capitol Hill and the University of Washington. That project's set to open 6 to 9 months early in early 2016, and is currently somewhere around $150 million under budget. So that's going very well.
Congratulations for being ahead of schedule and under budget. That doesn't happen very often.
We're proud of that.
That's awesome.
We also are building northward to Northgate. That's under construction right now. There'll be more tunnel construction continuing north from UW to Roosevelt, Northgate, and we'll continue northward to Linwood. That project is still in the environmental phase right now, where we're working on establishing alignment. And finally, we are extending light rail south from the airport. We're under construction to the South 200th area, in SeaTac, which is one stop further south, and we've got the funding to further extend light rail to Kent Des Moines, and all these projects I've just mentioned are set to be completed by 2023.
Okay.
We do have a dilemma as far as funding to get light rail further south from Kent Des Moines down to Federal Way.
Okay. So what are the timelines for building the projects that are starting passenger service?
Okay, so the passenger service all starts in 2023,
Okay.
with the exception that we will complete light rail to, as I said, University of Washington, 2016, Northgate, 2021.
Got it. So how many rides does Sound Transit expect will take advantage of these services?
That's a great question. Today, as I mentioned, we've got 100,000 riders, and that's going to dramatically increase as we bring these projects online. We're projected to carry more than 350,000 riders in the Sound Transit system by 2030, which is very important. As Chair Cliburn mentioned, this is going to happen through a lot of partnership. We've got a strong partnership with the other local transit agencies, King County Metro Transit, Community Transit, Pierce Transit, and there's a particular amount of focus right now on furthering integration between Sound Transit and King County Metro Transit. King County Executive Dow Constantine is currently chair of the Sound Transit Board, so that's created a unique moment where he is able to lead both those agencies forward and has set some pretty big challenges for us to look at how to take what is already a fairly efficient partnership where King County is operating many of our buses and our light rail system, and to take that even further and looking at how we can create efficiencies for the public. Exciting.
So these projects, what do they mean for the communities they serve?
Well, it's being here in the money hour is actually pretty appropriate because, as Chair Cliburn was saying, transportation is hugely linked to our region's future prosperity. We all depend on a transportation system where people can get where they need to go. And as we, go into that, future where, as you mentioned in your intro, we've got 30% more people projected to live in the Puget Sound region by 2040. It's going to be important to figure out how we're going to provide some additional transportation capacity for them. And that's where I think transit can really come into play. Some of the most congested corridors, transit represents the, sort of the most realistic option for significantly expanding capacity there. A light rail line has 4-car trains that operate every 4 minutes in each direction, has the capacity to move 12,000 people an hour in each direction. So that compares pretty favorably to a free lane where, in the best scenario, you've got, maybe a little over 2,000 cars per hour in direction. And so we are really a partner of the state here in trying to figure out how we're going to keep our people and our economy moving in this challenging future.
Oh, challenges always have opportunities with them. And, in radio, it's unfortunate because we don't get the visual. I mean, looking at the visual of some of these projects, it's pretty exciting. So Sound Transit recently began a process to update the regional transit long-range plan. What is this plan, and why does Sound Transit want people to pay attention to it?
Well, it's sort of an interesting moment for us because we've got 9 more years of really heavy construction to complete what voters have already approved, all that more than 30 miles of light rail expansions. But already it's time to start looking beyond that because, Chair Cliburn mentioned that transportation projects have pretty long lead times, and that's certainly the case for mass transit projects as well. Our board... So to have further expansion, these projects will open 2023, and the question is, well, where do we go after that? If we want to have, more mass transit expansions opening, in the 2030s timeframe, that means it's already time to start looking at where we would go. And so last year, the Sound Transit Board kicked off a process to update the Regional Transit Long Range Plan, which is a vision for where transit should go many decades out into the future, and that'll be the basis from which future ballot measures are shaped. Now, the board has started this now because they wanted to preserve the option to go to the ballot in 2016. And so the first step is updating the long-range plan, and then the board will decide whether and when to move forward with ballot measures.
Okay. So what about the rail transit and the importance of that?
Well, we've got a public involvement process that's underway right now for updating the long-range plan. We've got a series of meetings that are kicking off around the region this week. And so that information is all available on our website, www.soundtransit.org. And rail is a particular focal point in thinking about future expansion. Because what rail does is it offers speed, reliability, and very high capacity to move people. And so when you ask people what their priorities are for transportation and transit in particular, what a lot of people are saying is they want more rail transit. They go to other regions, cities around the country, and they go, why can't we have that here?
Yeah.
And so that's what we're hearing a lot of focus on, and what our board is accordingly putting a lot of focus on.
Okay. So in more of the urban areas, there's a lot of talk about transit development, and what does this refer to?
Transit-oriented development is a recognition of the really important role that mass transit can play in creating livable communities. One of the earlier we touched on the environment and the desire to address climate change, and so much of our emissions from here in Washington State come from the transportation sector, and creating environments where people aren't traveling as much to get where they from home to work is a real opportunity. And so around the country and the globe, you're seeing more and more emphasis on by governments on trying to promote dense, vibrant, really attractive urban neighborhoods where people want to live and where they don't have to commute as far. And so we're putting a lot of focus on trying to foster that. And that, in fact, was part of the vision for Sound Transit the legislature had. They wanted to really try to link transportation investment to growth management and to the kind of future we want to create for our region.
So, Geoff, is to wrap up my time with you here today, give my listeners a call to action. What do you need them to do?
Well, we really want to hear from folks about their priorities for where transit should go in the future after we complete those voter-approved projects. And so if they can go to our website, www.soundtransit.org. We've got options there for them to weigh in as part of this long-range plan update process. They can come to a meeting. They can submit formal comments. We also actually have a very easy-to-do 5-minute online survey where people can tell the Sound Transit Board their priorities for the future.
Wonderful. Geoff, thank you again for coming in. Next time it'll be quicker than 4 years when I have you in studio.
Well, thanks, Tina.
Okay, thanks a lot. Thanks, everyone, for listening to the show today. It's always a pleasure to be here and to share just amazing guests with amazing information. And really, the show is about helping you in this economy and maximize all of the benefits that we have. So again, I just appreciate my guest time today, and I appreciate to all of you listeners out there. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I will be back again next weekend right here on 1150 AM KKNW.